You're chewing on a strip of leather that used to be a belt. Your belt. The one you tightened 3 notches since October. It doesn't taste like anything. It doesn't fill anything. But your jaw's moving, and that's enough to trick your brain into thinking you're eating. You're not. You haven't eaten in 9 days. It's December 1609. Jamestown, Virginia. The colony that was supposed to make you rich. The new world that was supposed to be new. You came here 8 months ago on a ship full of gentlemen who had never touched dirt and tradesmen who had never held a sword. 214 of you walked off that ship. You counted. You remember because the man behind you tripped on the gangplank and laughed about it. That man died of dysentery in August. The fort sits on a swamp. You know that now. Everyone knows that now. The water is brackish, the mosquitoes carry something that turns your skin yellow, and the Powhatan have pulled back beyond the tree line and stopped trading. No corn, no venison, no contact. Just silence from the forest and the sound of your own stomach folding in on itself. There are 500 people inside these walls. By spring, there will be 60. You share a cabin with a man named Marcus. He was on your ship. You noticed him on the first day because of the scar. A clean white line running through his right eyebrow and down across his eyelid, pulling the skin just enough that his right eye never fully opens. He told you a horse kicked him when he was 11. He told you this while splitting wood on your second day, like it was nothing, like surviving a hoof to the face was just something that happened to people where he came from. You liked him immediately. Not because he was kind, though he was, because he was calm. In a colony full of men pretending to be brave, Marcus was the only one who didn't need to pretend. He's a carpenter, a real one. Hands like oak roots, joints swollen from years of work. While the gentlemen argued about gold deposits that didn't exist, Marcus built shelves, fixed roofs, reinforced the palisade where the logs had warped. He didn't talk about getting rich. He talked about his wife, Eleanor. She was supposed to come on the next supply ship. He said it every week like a prayer. Eleanor's coming on the next one. He carved a chair for her from a piece of Virginia oak he'd been drying since September, sanded it by hand, smooth enough that you ran your fingers across the armrest once and couldn't find a single splinter. He kept it under his bed wrapped in cloth, like it was something precious, because to him it was. The supply ships don't come. October. The rations drop to half a cup of barley per day. You can hold your daily food in one palm. The barley is full of worms, but you eat the worms too because they're protein, and you've stopped caring about what goes into your mouth as long as something does. The gentlemen complain. The soldiers ration their own supplies and stop sharing. The first fights break out over a dead rat found near the storehouse. 2 men beat each other bloody for a rat. Marcus pulls them apart. His hands are shaking, not from effort, from hunger. November. The horses die, not from starvation. Someone slaughters them in the night. The meat is divided, but it's not enough. 500 mouths. 3 horses. You do the math, and the math makes you want to scream. People start boiling their shoes. You watch a man chew on a piece of wood for an hour, his jaw working mechanically, his eyes empty. Dogs disappear. Then cats. Then the snakes people had been avoiding all summer. Marcus catches a crow with his bare hands one morning. You split it. There's barely enough meat on it to cover your tongue. He gives you the bigger half without saying anything. That's who he is. The scar catches the firelight, and you notice his cheekbones are sharper than they were a month ago. Everyone's face is changing. The colony is becoming a collection of skulls wearing skin. December. The first person dies of starvation. A boy. 16, maybe 17. He just stops moving one morning, sits against the wall of the storehouse and doesn't get up. By the time someone checks, he's cold. They bury him outside the walls. The ground is half frozen, and the grave is shallow, and nobody says a prayer because the minister died of flux in October. The second death comes 2 days later, then the third. Then you stop counting, because counting means acknowledging a pattern, and the pattern is that all of you are going to die in this fort, on this swamp, in this new world that promised you everything and delivered a grave. Marcus still talks about Eleanor. Less now, but he still does. He touches the chair sometimes, runs his hand along the armrest like he's checking it's still there. You want to tell him the ships aren't coming. You want to tell him Eleanor is probably sitting in London right now, alive, warm, eating bread, and that she'll never know what happened here. But you don't. Because that chair and that name are the only things keeping him upright, and if you take them away, you'll lose the only person in this fort who still looks at you like a human being. January 1610. The death rate accelerates. 2 a day. 3. The living don't have the strength to bury the dead anymore. Bodies are dragged outside the walls and left in the snow. The cold preserves them. You walk past them every morning on your way to check the tree line for any sign of the Powhatan, any sign of trade, any sign of anything. The bodies are stiff. Frost on their eyelashes, mouths open. Some of them you knew. Most of them you didn't. It doesn't matter anymore. A dead man is a dead man, and there are more of them every day. The first one to do it is a man named Collings. You don't see it happen. Nobody does. But one morning he looks different. His cheeks have color. His hands aren't shaking. In a fort full of walking dead, he looks almost alive. People notice. People whisper. Someone finds the body behind the east palisade, a woman who died 2 days earlier. Parts of her are missing. Not taken by animals, cut. With a knife. Nobody says the word. Not yet. But everyone knows. You lie awake that night and listen to your body eat itself. Your stomach has stopped growling. It gave up on that weeks ago. Now it just aches. A deep, constant, bone-level ache that makes you forget what it felt like to not be hungry. You think about the bodies outside the wall. You think about Collings and his steady hands and his color. You think about the thing you swore you'd never think about. And then you think about it anyway. Marcus coughs in the dark, a wet, rattling sound that didn't exist a week ago. You turn your head and look at him in the thin moonlight coming through the gap in the wall. The scar on his eye looks deeper now, like his face has shrunk around it. His breathing is shallow. His hands are folded on his chest, and you can see every knuckle, every tendon, every bone. He looks like a drawing of a man, an outline waiting to be filled in. Eleanor's coming on the next one, he whispers. You don't answer. 3 days later, Marcus doesn't get up. You know before you check. You know because the coughing stopped in the night, and the silence woke you. You know because his chest isn't moving, and his hand has fallen off the bed, and his fingers are curled, like he was reaching for something. You sit on the edge of your bed and look at him for a long time. The scar is still there, that clean white line through his eyebrow. The horse that kicked him when he was 11 didn't kill him. Dysentery didn't kill him. The mosquitoes didn't kill him. The Powhatan didn't kill him. A new world full of promises killed him, slowly, one missed meal at a time. You should feel something. Grief, rage, loss. You feel hunger. You drag him outside yourself. You lay him against the east palisade with the others. You go back to the cabin. You sit on your bed. You look at the chair under his bed. Virginia oak, hand-sanded, smooth as glass. Built for a woman who will never sit in it. You pull it out and set it in the middle of the room and look at it and try to remember what it felt like to care about something enough to build it with your hands. Then you go back outside. It's the middle of the night. The snow is falling lightly. The bodies along the palisade are covered in a thin white layer, like the world is trying to hide what's happened here. You stand over Marcus for a long time. The scar catches the moonlight. His right eye, the one that never fully opened, is closed now like all the others. He looks peaceful. That's the word people use. He doesn't look peaceful. He looks dead. There's a difference. You kneel down. Your hands are shaking, but not from the cold. You have a knife, the same knife Marcus used to carve the chair. You found it on his shelf. The handle is worn smooth from his grip. You make the first cut, and something inside you leaves. Not your soul. You don't believe in that anymore. Something smaller. The part of you that would have been horrified by this 6 months ago. The part that came to the new world believing in civilized men and divine purpose and the natural order of things. That part leaves and it doesn't come back. Not that night. Not ever. You eat. For the first time in weeks, you eat. And the worst part, the part that will follow you for the rest of your life, is that it works. Your hands stop shaking. Your vision clears. The ache in your bones dulls to something manageable. Your body doesn't know the difference. Your body doesn't care. Protein is protein. Survival is survival. Your body says thank you, and your mind says nothing at all. You're not the only one. By February, everyone knows. Nobody says the word, but everyone knows. The living eat the dead, and the dead keep coming, and the line between the two gets thinner every day. You see people you recognize crouched in corners with steadier hands than they should have. You see the guilt in some of their eyes. You see the absence of guilt in others. You wonder which one is worse. The Powhatan watch from beyond the tree line. You've seen their smoke. They know what's happening inside these walls. They know, and they've decided that whatever you've become isn't worth trading with. You can't blame them. You wouldn't trade with you either. March. The snow starts to melt. The bodies thaw. The smell hits the fort like a wall, and it doesn't leave. You've survived. You're standing. You're one of the 60 who will still be breathing when the ships finally come. 60 out of 500. You did the math in October, and the math made you want to scream. Now the math is just a fact. A cold, simple fact that you carry in your chest next to the other things you carry. The relief ships arrive in May. The Sea Venture, wrecked in Bermuda a year ago, finally rebuilt and limping into port. Fresh men walk off the gangplank with color in their cheeks, and food in their hands, and horror in their eyes when they see what's left of you. They look at the 60 survivors, and they see something they don't have a word for. Not yet. The word will come later, in reports sent back to London, in court testimonies, in history books that will argue for 400 years about what really happened during the starving time. You're standing near the dock when the passengers come off. You're leaning against a post because standing takes effort and you've learned to conserve everything. A woman steps off the gangplank. She's holding a small bag. She looks around the fort with wide eyes, taking in the mud, the graves, the hollow faces. She asks someone a question. You can't hear what she says, but you see her mouth move, and you see the man she's talking to point toward the cabins and then shake his head. She walks toward you. She's looking at every face, searching for something, for someone. She stops in front of you, and her eyes are green, and her hands are gripping the bag so tight her knuckles are white, and she says 4 words. Where is my husband? You open your mouth, you close it. You look at her face and you see Marcus in it, not his features, but his faith. The same certainty that the next ship would come. The same belief that the distance was temporary and the reunion was guaranteed. She believed it too. She came. You tell her he didn't make it through the winter. You tell her it was the cold. You tell her he talked about her every single day until the end. All of this is true. None of it is the whole truth. She asks where he's buried. You point vaguely toward the east wall. She nods. She doesn't cry. Not yet. She will later, alone, somewhere you'll never see. She asks if he left anything behind. You take her to the cabin. You show her the chair. She runs her hand along the armrest, the same way Marcus did, and this time she does cry. She sits down in it and pulls her knees up and holds herself, and you stand in the doorway, watching a woman sit in a chair her dead husband built for her, with his hands, and you feel the full weight of what you've done settle into your bones like lead. You walk back outside. The sun is warm for the first time in months. The colony is being resupplied. Men are carrying barrels of flour and salted meat through the gates. You can smell bread somewhere, real bread, The world is starting over, and everyone will pretend the winter didn't happen, and the reports will be buried, and the bodies will be forgotten, and the 60 of you will carry this in silence for the rest of your lives. You lean against the palisade, the east wall, right where he lay. The snow is gone now. The ground is soft. There's nothing here anymore. No trace. No mark. Just dirt and grass pushing through and a faint outline where the frost killed the weeds in the shape of a man. You close your eyes. You can still see the scar. That clean white line through his eyebrow, pulling his right eye half shut, catching every kind of light. Firelight, moonlight, no light at all. A horse kicked him when he was 11 and he survived. He survived everything except you.